All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to week one preview. We're going to do the top 10 games of the week for us and make our picks. We also have a Gridlock that's coming back this year. That'll be at the very end of the segment, excuse me, at the end of the show. So, everybody, again, week one, it's finally here. Thursday, huge slate of games. I mean, absolutely massive. I was I was actually kind of shocked to see how many games were on Thursday night. And then Friday night, there's a pretty decent little slate too, including Wisconsin playing TCU and Sparty. Oklahoma as well. I know they hate us, but hey, we just mentioned you, so be happy. Let's go ahead, boys. Let's talk some games here and just get right into it. First game up, we've got for our week one preview teams. We went with that UNLV and Houston. I know week one sometimes can be a little light, depending on the huge matchups, but this one feels like a good one to kind of feel out. Houston's obviously coming in. They got a new head coach, and Willie Fritz. UNLV's got new quarterback play coming in. So a couple things that I'm looking for is, how's Coach Fritz got this team squared away? How does the defense play? Donovan Smith, the quarterback, had an injury, but it looks like he's back to full strength from where he was in the spring. So that should be really good for this Houston team. UNLV on the other side of it, same offensive coordinator. They look to keep up that same speed tempo play, that run game. But again, they have a new quarterback as well. And that battle still seems to be going on from what I've been reading. Sloka, I believe is his name. He's coming in from Holy Cross. That I feel like should be the guy. But, we'll see, obviously, when this thing kicks off. The spread is only 2.5 points in favor of Houston. So I feel like, this should be a pretty tight game. And even, we mentioned when we did the group of five previews that UNLV could be a team to look out for, and just depending on how that quarterback situation plays. So my keys to victory for Houston: you got to lean on the run, get pressure early, and just keep Donovan Smith healthy. And then key to victory for UNLV: no turnovers and control the clock. I am going to pick Houston on this one. I think Donovan Smith will be a game changer for him. Boys, what do you think on this game?
Well, look,
already starting.
Well,
all right. Well, here's the thing with Houston is I don't have a ton of faith in them at this juncture for obvious reasons, but they are in a must-win scenario in week one because of their schedule. They are in must-win scenario. They got UNLV, then the next game they go out to Oklahoma, and then they come back. They do Rice, and then they get into a very interesting slate of games that they are a part of. And I just think that they have to win against UNLV. They have to win against Rice to give them a shot to make a bowl game. With that being said, I am picking UNLV.
Okay. I like it. I like that pick. I truly do. It's tough.
I agree. And everything Brendan said about Houston is exactly why I'm also selecting UNLV. I just think they're replacing too much. I don't have a lot of faith in them under the first-year coach. I don't think they was all that good last year, really. So UNLV didn't finish strong against Kansas in their bowl game, and they returned a lot of their talent. Just the question at quarterback. But with the running game, I still think they've got a lot of talent there, and I think they get the win.
All right, good picks, boys. Like I said, that one was a tough one for me, flipping back and forth. But I'm gonna put some faith in Houston, so we'll see what happens. Tight spread, and might be a Gridlock pick too down the line. Let's move on to another game: Miami, Ohio versus Northwestern. Obviously, hey, listen, some might say that, but I'm telling you, Northwestern. This is a team that knew the coach from last year. He's finally in his first full year starting in Brom. Mike Wright comes up from Mississippi State. They're hoping that he can be, at least able to help them a lot in the offense, move the ball effectively on the ground and in the air. And they're in that new stadium, if that's what you want to call it. Since they tore down the last one, they're sitting right on the banks of Lake Michigan, so that's pretty damn cool.
The wind is going to be insane.
Yeah. So God, speed to anybody playing in that one. I'm just curious how the offensive line looks with their transfers for Northwestern. That would be a key to victory for them, is getting that blocking set up for them. Defensive backs, too. They lost a lot in the portal. Miami, Ohio, Gabbert comes in again. He's back. He had an injury last year. They've got some running backs that they're trying to lean on. They lost their main one in the portal, but they got Dylan Downing coming in from Purdue, and we'll see what they do on the run game. That's going to be key to them. Again, it's against a Big Ten defensive line. You've got to be able to run, and if it's windy, like Trevor mentioned, good luck passing in that right off the lake, because it gets freaking whipping out there, man. If you've never been up that way. So yeah, keys of victory again. Miami, Ohio. I think this is a good team. Don't sleep on them. They've got a lot of offensive line returning, so this could be a tight one. Key to victory: stop the run for Miami, Ohio. Gentlemen, I'm going Northwestern. I think they'll still just be too much talent differential, but I think it'll be close for a while.
Northwestern. That's all I got. I don't really got much on this one. It might be windy. It could be a windy day. So the winds might blow in the Miami of Ohio's way, but I highly doubt it.
Well, I'm actually going Miami of Ohio.
I like it.
I think they've got a lot of consistency on offense, and Northwestern, they lost some good talent on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And we still just don't know. There's not enough under was it Braun? Is that his name?
Yeah, Braun.
I know they finished good last year, but Miami of Ohio, when I looked back historically, they give Northwestern a fit. And
yeah,
Northwestern, that seems to be like the Boston College for Northwestern. So I'm going Miami of Ohio.
All right, good pick, man. I dig it. Let's go on. Our third game of the night, we've got San Diego State, South Dakota State. I wrote down SDSU, and I'm like, oh, San Diego State. No, South Dakota State, the FCS national champs. This game is one that's got Twitter up, and they're like, hey, I know North Dakota State's playing Colorado. Look for that one to be an FCS upset.
I hope it is.
Keep your eyes out on Stillwater too. Yeah, I think the whole college football world does. But don't overlook Stillwater and what's going on out there, because they've got a tough matchup against South Dakota State coming in. The spread is 9.5 in favor of Oklahoma State. I feel like you would expect that to be a little bit bigger with all that Okie State has coming back. But again, it's a loaded roster. It's all this stuff returning. But last year they did lose to South Alabama. This is the same team. Obviously Ollie Gordon jumped in a little, I think game 3 really got going, but still, it's just one of those things. How does Alan Bowman come in? How does he control the football? Because he's had turnover issues. So that's my big thing for victory for Oklahoma State. Control the damn football, run the football, use Ollie Gordon. Don't give them any hope. And then South Dakota State, they, like I said, won the FCS title. Starting quarterbacks coming back. Their running backs looks pretty good. I think they have potential to do this thing, but they have to stop Ollie Gordon. If you can do that and mix up your coverages, this is going to be a game that's going to be very tight and ugly for Oklahoma State. But I'm going with Oklahoma State. I think it'll still just be a little too much with Ollie and that returning offensive line.
Well, here's the thing. I am rooting for the Jackrabbits. Just so everyone knows, South Dakota State, they're the Jackrabbits. So they're going to need to run quick against Okie State. They're going to need to run quick like a Jackrabbit. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still picking Okie State. I am seriously, I will gladly take the loss if South Dakota State shocks Okie State.
I'm going Okie State as well, but I agree. South Dakota State, they've got a high-powered offense, and Oklahoma State is going to have to do something they don't typically do, and that is work the clock. Yeah, they're going to have to. Well, they're going to have to control the clock. And that's something that they have always struggled with under Mike Gundy.
Never
with
been
Ollie
super
Gordon
strong
there.
at the defensive side either.
Oh, no. And anybody can score on Oklahoma State, and South Dakota State will put up some points. And I would not be in the slightest shocked if they pulled off the upset. I just think it's too much at home with that good of a running back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Oklahoma State, but not shocked at all if South Dakota pulls up the upset.
Same.
Yeah. And I'm friends with a lot of fans on Twitter from Oklahoma State, and they're starting to get really worried. They're like, hold on. A lot of people are saying that we might lose this game. Like, hold on. Should we really be concerned?
I watched some of their highlights, and they can score. I mean, they can move the football.
Look, South Dakota State, just like North Dakota, like they both those teams know how to play ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like I said, quarterback coming back after he had plenty of NIL offers and opportunities to get into the FBS. He's like, no, I'm sticking with it. That's a dangerous man right there. So keep an eye out for Oklahoma State possibly dropping this one. Would not shock a lot of people. Let's move on. UNC, Minnesota. This one is a 2-point spread in favor of UNC. But again, you lose Drake May, you bring in Max Johnson from Texas A&M. How do they do in the run game? You've got Amarion Hampton. He's a very good back, but how does the offensive line handle it this year? They had issues, of course, last year across the board, offense, defense, though they had some decent moments. It's just, can UNC do it? I feel like we have not seen it yet, even with legit quarterback play. I'm curious how it'll go down. Key to victory, you got to run with Amarion Hampton, lean on him, and then defense on third downs, stop Minnesota and Brosmer at quarterback. Speaking of Brosmer, he's the new quarterback for Minnesota after Kaliak Manis jumped over to Rutgers. So you've got also Darius Taylor, which I think could be one of the better backs in the Big Ten, and a strong O-line too. They've got, I think, 4 out of 5 coming back on the offensive line. So that's something right there. If they can just run and dominate the ground, Max Brosmer coming in, if he can just be efficient and not turn over the ball, this could be a dangerous game for UNC early on in the season. Defensive back's the only question mark I have really for Minnesota, what depth they have there. So lean on the run game if you're Mini, and heavy pressure on the offensive line for North Carolina. With that said, I'm going Minnesota. I think they're going to get the win. It'll be close. Those games usually are ugly, but I think they can pull it out.
Look, even when Mac Brown had fake May at quarterback,
my man, generational hater. He's a generational hater. I love it.
I'm with you.
Look, I think May was overrated from the get. I never liked him. We've been doing this for a minute now, and I think I've been pretty consistent about Drake May.
You have.
But that being said, it's not going to matter because I just don't think that Mac Brown has the ability to develop anybody. He's lucky enough.
I'm not laughing at you. I just like hearing it.
He's been in coaching 30 years. This man does not develop.
He doesn't develop. He did not develop Vince Young. Vince Young was just amazingly talented.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm
just saying. So with that said, Mini for the win all day long.
I want to see the haters on the YouTube comments. Where you at? Where's the the Mac Brown stands? Where they at?
They probably in going into retirement just like Mac Brown should be.
Yeah,
I'm actually going the other way on this one. Of course, I don't have confidence in Mac Brown. I like Max Johnson. I think he's a solid quarterback. I would even go as far to say I think he could control a team better than Drake May. And I think they will solve a lot of the issues that they had last year on the line. Mm-hmm. Minnesota, I could see them winning this game because I do agree, Brendan. I think they could have one of the better backfields. And I really think North Carolina, it's like a make or break type season for Mac Brown. He's got to do something out there. And Minnesota can't be the team that puts him out. No, you're good.
No, I was going to say, I'd almost say that it's almost a make or break season for Fleck as well. Right?
Yeah. I feel like he's just kind of hanging around. Like he has his moments of like it's been good but not great. I know Minnesota's a tough place to play in the Big Ten, but I feel like he's done a solid job.
Remind me, where did Fleck come from? Was it Cincy?
He was at Western Michigan.
Really?
And then he
jumped to Minnesota from Western Michigan?
Or was it Central Michigan, the Chippewas? Yeah, Central. And then
okay. For some reason I thought he was at a bigger program. I thought he was at a bigger program before Minnesota. Not bigger than Minnesota, but bigger than
Hold on, now you got me questioning myself. Let me double check here.
I don't know. Now I don't know what I know.
No, I
don't even know what I know now.
I don't know who I am. All right, let me double check here because we got this is we have the internet and we're allowed to do this. It was Western Michigan. I was right the first time.
It was okay.
So, yeah, Western Michigan, and then he went straight to Mini in 2017. So he's been there for a minute, man. It doesn't feel like it, but I guess he has.
Yeah, he's been there for a minute. I would say that Minnesota doesn't usually have high expectations of their football program. It's usually their hockey program they have very high expectations for.
That is very true, but I do feel like he's done a solid job for him. It could be better, but for the most part, he's attacking the portal. He's doing things to keep them relevant in the conference. So we'll see. I definitely think for Mac Brown it's more make or break, but we shall see. Let's move on. Everybody made their picks, correct? I don't want to. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Okay. Yeah. Next to excuse me. Let's go to the next game. Virginia Tech Vanderbilt. If I can speak tonight. This one is a 13.5-point spread in favor of Virginia Tech. That one's not really shocking. Vandy's coming in with this new offense, under Beck. They're expecting more option style. They lost a bunch of wide receivers in the transfer portal because they're like, well, shit, I'm not going to be used. I'm out. It's going to be interesting to see how Vanderbilt plays on this. Virginia Tech, Kyron Drones coming in. He really lit it up last year. People are excited about what this Virginia Tech team can bring to the table. Dark horse aspirations for the ACC. So I can understand why that spread is there. Biggest thing for the defense on Virginia Tech feels like just sell out on the run. Force them to beat you in the air. Like, I just don't see it happening. Then the other side, Vanderbilt, you got to stop Drones running. Play some contain, try to keep him, behind the line. But I just don't really see it happening for Vanderbilt this game. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I said, Virginia Tech, they win.
Yep. Yeah. For me to pick Vandy, they better start proving it. That's all I gotta say. And until you can go past 3 wins. Yeah, I'll start picking you when you start getting consistent.
Oh, poor Vandy. I love their uniforms.
I like their uniforms. But that's all I like.
Virginia Tech's defense is going to be too much. I think they're going to be one of the better defenses in the ACC and possibly college football this year. So
there's also a possibility that they could shock a lot of people. Well, not shock necessarily, but I feel like that with everything that transpired with Florida State losing, that it should pump up just about everybody in the ACC.
Yeah, the ACC is wide open.
It's wide open right now. So yeah,
don't kid yourself. It absolutely is.
There's 5 teams that can win it.
Yep.
Maybe 6.
Easily.
That loss last weekend from Florida State opened up. It was already kind of open, but now it feels even more wide open. So we'll see what happens with Virginia Tech, but they've got every opportunity to go in and handle business against an SEC team and then, set themselves up for a nice season. So we'll see if they can actually put pen to paper. Let's move on. This one's a Sunday night game. I forgot to mention for our listeners, the UNC Minnesota game is on Friday night, if you weren't aware. USC LSU, they're on Sunday. So something to keep an eye on too. This is a longer week. Florida State, we just mentioned, they play on Monday against Boston College. So that's another one. They better pull their head out of their ass. But let's talk USC LSU. LSU is a 4-point favorite currently. And really, this game feels like the same team is playing each other when I see this. LSU, you've got a quarterback that came in during the bowl game, had a really strong bowl game. So they're automatically super excited about him. Defense had issues last year. They're looking to improve that with the defensive coordinator hire coming in from in conference opponent. So that's what really it's offensive line is strong. They've got strong wide receiver quarterback play. They're good about their offense. How does the defense play? USC is the same exact story. Quarterback showed out in the bowl game. You've got a strong offense pretty much always under Lincoln Riley. But then you had a defense that struggled. So you fire the coordinator, go hire a coordinator from in conference. And it feels like the same damn team fighting each other. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. But I ultimately think LSU is going to be just too strong, and they'll probably win by 10 points. That's how I feel that one.
Well, no.
No.
Okay. Hold on.
So like I was gonna, I had a bad habit last season of saying one thing in like previews, and then when Pick'ems came around, that I'd say a whole different another thing. I had a bad habit of doing flipping script a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep to the script. Is that I think that was it Miller Moss or whatever the hell his name is? Yeah. I think he's going to have a really good season, and I think he has to. Like, okay, so I'm looking at the USC schedule, and I'm just like, they have to start out hot. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Their front end of their schedule with LSU and then Michigan 2 weeks later, it's just, they need to start out good. And I think this will be a statement win for USC.
There you go. It's very possible. It is very possible. Blake?
I know they hired a new D coordinator at USC, but I still just don't. I think there was too much to fix there for one, not even a season has went by to make that kind of change. And Lincoln Riley, just in general, I'm going to chalk up 28 points that they're going to give up at minimum. And I just don't see them being able to put that up. I mean, I'm thinking like 35, 24, 42, 27, something like that. LSU.
I just don't think that – what's his name? Is it Nussmeier or something like that?
Yeah.
I think that dude is all hyped too. Like, I just don't understand. I feel like he's Drake May 2.0. I feel like that's literally
I wouldn't go that far. We haven't seen him really.
My man's locked it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna hate this son of
I am not a fan of Brian Kelly. I am just.
I'm not either.
I do not think that dude. Okay, so
gotcha. So we don't like Brian Kelly. Gotcha.
I don't blame him either.
But I don't have as much confidence in LSU this season as I would have last season, even with their quarterback play. But I was more impressed with their skill positions on both sides of the ball, the D-backs, the defensive line. I don't think it's as strong this season as it was even previous season, but maybe I'm just off on that a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
I think defensively, they got some good guys in the portal that's going to help LSU.
Yeah.
And I just
right now in my head, I'm just like, I'm really hating all these teams that are relying on the portal too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and hate on all of them until they prove that they can win with all these new pieces.
Well, that's the thing too, guys, is we saw Florida State go out and struggle after they had a really strong portal class. So it might take a couple weeks for these teams to get going. So what you see in week 1 or 2 might not be what the end result is. So it's very possible that, hey, it comes out looking flat and then they go and kick ass later down the line.
Which makes all these big games, early season big games. I mean, hell, they might end up being tiebreakers, even though it's not the same team.
Yeah.
Down the road. Oh, you lost the top 20. You lost the top 25 game right at the beginning of the season, but the other teams did not, or whatever.
And they'll complain, "Oh, we're different team." Hey, you still played the game. You got to get over it.
You play to win the game.
Hey, I made a mistake earlier about the UNC mini game. I said that was on Friday. That's a Thursday night game, so my bad. But we drive on. Either way, it's one of the days in the week, and it will get played this week. So next one, Penn State, West Virginia. Penn State currently has an 8-point spread as a favorite. Excuse me. And that one's not too shocking, I guess, when you think about how they played them last year. But again, Penn State comes in with a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. They still have Alar at quarterback, and they still, of course, have James Franklin as the head coach. And that's one where, like,
you just never know.
I mentioned him in the same regard as Cristobal or whoever, or Brian Kelly, I guess. I mean, Brian Kelly's gone further, so I mean, I can't really put him in there. But you got to prove it. And Jimbo's gone, Jimbo Fisher, so I can't say that about him anymore. But it's one of those, go out and prove it. You haven't shown anything since 2016. God will, for you got lucky that you don't play Michigan and Ohio State in the same season. Their schedule sets up decently, so this is a huge game for them going into Morgantown. To me, it just depends on the defense shutting down Garrett Green in the first half because he looks like he's going to be a really good quarterback this season. And then, defensively, this is going to be another good defensive team. But offensively, can Drew Alar get over that 60%, completion percentage? I don't know if he can. So I don't know. West Virginia, again, Garrett Green, experienced offensive line. This team's going to move the football. Defense got some portal help. A little bit concerned about their depth, but we'll see. I'm going to go with Penn State, but I do think it'll be closer to than the 8 points, maybe like a field goal.
You know what? I think the Nittany Lions are going to go into West Virginia and probably win.
Yeah.
But
oh, look at this guy.
But I think the Mountaineers have a really good shot of playing this team tough. I don't think Drew Alar is whatever he is. I don't know what he is, but he's not good. That's one thing I know. And I think West Virginia actually has a little bit better talent than Penn State does. I just think that Penn State's overrated and always is overrated. Somehow they are rated above Michigan, but whatever. I don't get that either. But anyway, moving on. West Virginia for the win.
All right. I like it. I want to see it. Blake, what do you say?
I like it so much that I'm picking it too.
Heck yeah, Blake.
All right, winner. Ooh.
West Virginia, I think they're at that pivotal point where they've, like Trevor always says, it's time to prove it. Mm-hmm. Last year, they looked good on paper, but then when you looked at all of their big games, they really struggled to move the football.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of talent. They did get some defensive help. I think Garrett Green is a phenomenal quarterback, and Morgantown is one of the toughest places to play in college football.
Especially when their fans are amped up for a big game.
They're going to be lit for this game, and I think they go out and get it done.
I saw that they canceled classes and stuff already.
Oh yeah, they're up for this. Morgantown's they're gonna burn every couch.
They're gonna be rocking.
Yeah. Like they've been ready.
They're gonna have nowhere to sleep because most of them sleep on couches. So they're burning it down, baby.
God bless. All right, let's move on. Miami versus Florida. Another team, a game of coaches needing to prove something. Miami is a 2.5-point favorite currently going into the Swamp. Cristobal again blew it last year in a big moment against Georgia Tech, and then this year you go out and you go into the transfer portal. You make huge movement. I want to see if they can prove it on the field. Oh, there's Maggie. Hold on, you guys go ahead. I'm picking Florida.
All right. So yeah, with Miami going into Florida, like the biggest thing for me is like, I think Cristobal really like this season is Cristobal's season to prove it. Like Brendan was mentioning, because he has by far the best quarterback he's had since he's been at Miami, coaching Miami. So with that, probably I'm going to lean towards Miami in this one, even though I think Florida probably has a really talented roster. I just think that, the Miami game is one thing, but just like their schedule is just so brutal that I think they're in a must-win scenario for Florida as well. But I think Miami's got it. I just think they do. even though it's in the swamp and it's going to be rocking, no doubt about it. I think Miami's deep. I think they have a really good quarterback that's going to be. I mean, they have the ability now to spread the field 5 wide and still have a running threat in the backfield with Cam Ward. So
yeah,
I just think Miami's got a lot of versatility in their offense that's going to give a lot of problems to Florida's defense.
Yeah, I agree. Miami, Cam Ward is a great quarterback, and they're very deep at receiver. Their offensive line has been good under Cristobal since he's been there. Really, they got a good running back out of the portal. I mean, my fear is, like I've been saying about all these other teams, is they are kind of portal heavy and portal reliant at key positions. Florida has the continuity with Graham Mertz, and I think he was really good last year. Having them at home, I feel like at best in Florida's last 7 games, they're going 2-5.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is a must win for Billy Napier if he wants to keep his job. And I think just that alone is going to have them up for that game. And my gut tells me Miami, but something is telling me to pick Florida. And this is one of the ones that I have really went back and forth on, but I have Florida in this one too.
You have Florida. Ooh, that's a big pick. I like
yeah,
that.
It was tough.
I like that.
And I don't know. I'm so back and forth on that because that's the thing about these portal players is you just don't know which one you're going to get.
Yeah. Is this a night game? Is this?
Let's see. I thought it was 3:30. I may be wrong.
You're right. Yeah, it's a 2:30 p.m. Start.
Yeah, 3:30.
Yeah, so 3:30. Yeah. So so okay. So it's not a night game in the swamp, so that's good for Miami.
Yeah.
Nighttime in the swamp is rough for any team.
Well,
oh man. All right.
So our next game is Brennan's back. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry, boys. Hey, so for the listeners, if you're don't see us, my wife is down in San Antonio for training, so it's me and the kids here, and my little Maggie, she's 1. She still stirs at night sometimes, so I just had to go check on her. But we are back in the action. You guys, what were your picks on the Florida Miami one?
I went with Miami. Blake went with Florida.
All right. I think it's gonna be close. I understand why the spread is so small. I'm excited to see Cam Ward and Martinez at the in the backfield for Miami, but I don't know. I like Graham Mertz too, so we'll see what happens. Let's go on, get out of here, and go into the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game. That one, 2 more teams that need to prove things. But I will say,
this is like the worst fucking game for me to pick.
I like my pick in this one.
I feel confident in this one. I will say, Texas A&M has much more leash now that Jimbo's gone. I like Elko. I like what he was doing at Duke, and I think he'll bring that same type of power, and that same type of grit into Texas A&M. And honestly, that's what they need. So we'll see. Riley Leonard, jumped over to Notre Dame, so he'll be seeing his former coach. But really, I think he's really explosive. He can be a game changer, but I just feel like he's going into a bad situation again, just like, what happened with Hartman last year. I know Hartman had good moments, but still, we talked about it last year. All of us did. It just felt like they weren't using him properly. Nope. And we'll see what they do with Riley Leonard. They also have concerns at offensive line, 1 from the transfer portal, but 2 from injuries in the spring. They're starting a freshman left tackle, it sounds like. And this defensive line for Texas A&M is pretty freaking good. So I would not be shocked to see this one get lopsided kind of quick. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm running with Texas A&M, and I think they're going to spank them. But really, it just depends. Can Texas A&M get the running game going after losing Ruben Owens to injury? I don't know. Like I said, going with Texas A&M. Matt, he's back up. I'll be right back.
Okay. I really hate that we picked this one because I hate both teams so much.
I do too.
But that being said, I am more optimistic with Texas A&M than I am with Notre Dame, even though they're ranked 7th. I don't see a whole lot out of them from last year as opposed to this year. Like there's not a ton of big differences. Hartman was underutilized, like Brennan said, and I really truly think that they don't know how to utilize Riley Leonard properly, unless Riley Leonard's they're gonna call the plays, and then it's gonna be Riley Leonard improvising because that offensive line is just getting gashed. So with that said, I think that overall, I think Texas A&M has a better opportunity to knock it out of the park with this one, especially with Notre Dame coming into their house.
I'm right there with you. I think the offensive line is going to be a point for Notre Dame. Like Brennan said, they lost Joe Alt. They lost another really good offensive lineman too to the draft, and then I think he mentioned it too. Their tackle got hurt over summer camp, so I mean they're replacing a lot up front. Defensively, Notre Dame is solid. And it's going to come down to which defense can stop that other. I mean, obviously, that's how football works, but both of these defensive lines, I think, are solid offensive line or defensive lines. Notre Dame, I think, is going to have, as far as the season goes, I think they'll be a better defense statistically. The A&M pass rush, though, they've always got a pass rush, and Elkos is a very aggressive defensive guy. I don't know. It's a hard pick for me, man, because I'm with you. Like Riley Leonard playing under Elkos, I think that gives Notre Dame a little bit of an advantage because he kind of has that insider knowledge top deal.
Of how he likes to play, or what side does he roll out on most of the time, or but when it breaks down, does he roll out one way or another, or whatever the case.
Right. But also at the same time with Hartman, they didn't utilize him appropriately. So it's like, well, I mean, they've had talent there before. They don't use it correctly. So what does it, what good does it do?
Right.
So I'm with you on that. So I really think A&M gets it done. So.
Yeah, that would be a big, big statement win for Mike Elko. Probably just that by beating a top 10 team will solidify him for the next decade. Or at least, next game for like 5 games, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Texas A&M I think is good. Did Brendan mention who he was going to pick? I didn't even
A&M. He said A&M.
Okay, so we're all on A&M. We're all on the A&M bandwagon for week 1.
I'm not on the bandwagon. That's literally, to me, that is a 50-50 toss-up because
it is.
I think, I think just as easily Notre Dame could easily run away with that game, just as A&M can.
I agree completely. Yeah, and then the game of the week, I would say, I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know. Would you say this one would be the game of the week?
I'd still say Clemson, Georgia is the biggest game of the week.
No. I mean, yeah, like moving on to the next game.
Georgia,
Clemson
easy.
Be the game of the week. Yeah, I feel like that's
an
easy one for sure. And they got UGA favored by 13.5. The over/under is at 48.5 for the total points for the game. I think I would take the over on the points for the game, honestly. But
I don't like the spread.
I don't like the spread too much either, honestly.
I think Clemson is a lot better than what people were thinking they're going to be.
Clemson, for sure.
I think they've got a solid secondary, and their front four, they have a solid pass rush. I wouldn't compare it to Georgia's, but I think it's enough to get in the backfield and disrupt Carson Beck. I wouldn't say I'm ultimately picking Georgia because I think they just have too much talent.
Yeah,
but I do think Clemson can hang around, and I mean they could pull off an upset. I just don't. I think the talent's too much on Georgia.
Yeah. I know. See, here's where. Dang it! Club me in my face. I'm going to root for you today.
I'm rooting for them. Don't get me wrong. I want Clemson to win, but
so I like what I've been pretty adamant that I don't like the way Clemson treats the portal, which basically they don't treat it at all or use it at all, really. And them saying like, oh, there's not good enough players in the portal. That's a load of shit. But they just don't want to go after the players because some of these players are wanting a nice big bag. With that being said, though, I think that they do have a lot of talent overall. They've recruited really well this season, or this past offseason. I thought that they brought in a lot of really good, potentially talented players as long as they fit well. I think because it's at Georgia. No, I'm picking Georgia. I was gonna go with Clemson, and I was like, "Oh crap! I forgot to write down where it was at." I was just like,
"Nope." It's a neutral site game, but it's in Atlanta. So I mean,
yeah, no, that's not neutral. I don't care what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different than playing, in Clemson. So,
or that, I mean, Athens is literally right down the road.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, I honestly, sorry, I had to jump out again. Missed what you guys said, but I'm curious to see if Klubnik can stay out of his way. I know he had moments last year, especially in the red zone, where they fumbled the ball a lot. They had moments where they were so close against Florida State. But again, just little turnovers, little things. Can they clean that up? And Dabo's got a fire, I think, lit under him. And I think it'll be closer than the spread says at the 13.5. Especially early on. If you can get Maffa going, I think he can do some damage. But again, the Georgia team is just so talented. I don't think Georgia's going to lose at all early in the season. After they go through the slate that they have, I can see them wearing down and dropping a game. But I guess my biggest question for them is how do you move the ball without Bowers and McConkey? I know they're talented everywhere, but I'm curious to see who steps up really and becomes the big name for Georgia this year. But I do think Georgia wins.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like, I know I picked Georgia, but I'll tell you what, if they were going to drop a game, it would be this one. It could potentially be this one because maybe they're not quite 100% in the flow of everything. Maybe they get caught flat-footed in the first half and they just don't have enough to get back into it. Yeah. I don't know. Anything's possible with the first week of the season or first game of the season. Yeah. So, and like you said, like they don't have Bowers. They don't have that safety outlet like Beck was used to last season. So, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a possibility for Clemson to pull it off. And if they do, I think that they instantly become the number one selection to win the ACC. Instantly.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people are putting them down, but I definitely think Clemson's a strong team and they have the ability to go out and win the conference.
Absolutely, they do. Yep.
All right. So, guys, curious, I missed it. What was your picks on Notre Dame, Texas A&M?
A&M. But all of us went A&M.
Yeah. Oh Lordy, we're gonna have a happy camper on one end of this video.
I wasn't happy.
I
did say, look, I said it. This game is like the worst, the absolute worst. I was so mad that it was on here.
I think it's a cool matchup. We'll see what happens.
It is a cool matchup. But
I hate Notre Dame. I don't mind TAMU.
I mind them a lot.
I'm just glad Jimbo's.
I'm rooting for Notre Dame in this game.
Ooh. Well, yes, it's against the SEC opponent.
Yeah, I don't consider Texas A&M an SEC school, but I'm rooting for Notre Dame in honor of my grandfather, but also just because I have such a hatred for Texas A&M because of what's his name? I don't even want to say it. Jimbo.
Oh,
no.
Jimbo. Just
Denzel.
No, Manziel.
Denzel.
I thought you said Denzel. I'm like, what did Denzel do?
You leave that man out of it.
I didn't treasure.
He's a national treasure.
He's an angel.
Yeah, I don't like Texas A&M, but I think they'll win. The damage to the offensive line of Notre Dame, the A&M pass rush, I think is ridiculous. And Elko's is aggressive on defense.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a long night for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't
Fair
disagree
enough,
with you at all.
definitely. All right, boys. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for our picks. So we'll have a graphic up when we share the post, so you can see it on there, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. It'll be there. So let's go ahead and get our gridlocks. And the gridlock is a segment that we brought over from last year that we enjoyed doing it. It's kind of, you pick your shot. Who is a definite win, in your book? That's why it's a lock. Who is going to win this week? And we've got a point system based on the spread. So if it's if the team is favored by 3.5 points to 4 points, you get 1 point. And this is a tally for the entire year. If they're in the even category to -3, that's a 2-point win. If they are an underdog of 1 point to 4 points, you get 3 points. And then if they're a 5-point underdog or higher, you get 4 points. And like I said, we tally it up at the end of the season. Last year, Blake came in first on the gridlock and on the pick'em. I came on second in both, and Trev, he took the full L on both of them. But it was closer than you might think for the pick'em. It was pretty close. I think it was a 2 to 4 game spread, and then points. Blake kicked all of our butts on that one. So I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. But either way.
It's a new season, folks. It's a new season.
We're done.
We're not looking at the past. We're looking in the future.
Blake, who do you have as your gridlock for this week 1?
There's a man named Tom Herman that coaches Florida Atlantic. And they are going to pull the upset.
Yes.
On Michigan State.
Great pick. Fucking great pick. I love it.
They lost 38 players. I mean, Michigan State they're filling holes. Florida Atlantic, Tom Herman needs that big win.
I love it. I love it, man. I love the pick. I love that.
God bless. I dig it, man. I don't know if it'll happen, but I dig it. Trev,
it's gonna happen.
What's your pick, man?
Mine's less fun. So I already picked them once, and I'm just gonna go make him my gridlock, and that's Minnie to win.
Okay. Trevor's got Minnesota.
Doubling down on it. If they lose, I lose both ways.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, mine's pretty simple. It's not a big point spread, and that's probably why we lost last year. But I'm going Texas A&M. To me, that's just a lock. They're in that 3-point spread zone. But yeah, to me, that's a lock to win. They'll beat Notre Dame. I don't think it'll be close in the 4th. So that's who I'm going with, and we'll see. Good luck to the rest of you, Blake, especially on yours. If you win that, I'm just going to forfeit the season.
How big of a spread?
That's how you win. You gotta take risks.
Michigan State's 14-point favorites.
Oh hell!
At least the points are capped for us.
I think I hit 3 games.
You did
for 10-point underdogs last year.
Yeah, you had some big ones, man.
Yeah, you had some big ones. I'll probably be more aggressive this year. Not first week, but definitely.
I'm just going for that 1 point, one at a time. But either way, that's it for this week. Week 1 preview. Again, shoot us comments. Let us know what you think about these games. Where are we off, or where do you think we're wrong? Where do you think we're right? Let us know. We enjoy talking with you guys in the comments, especially subscribe and all that on YouTube. That helps big time. So we'll catch you around for the live reaction show on Sunday nights. Make sure you guys tune in for that. You can find it on Facebook or YouTube as well. And then I'll post the links on Twitter so you can follow it there. But we look forward to seeing you, and kickoff is just around the corner. Stay tuned for a crazy Thursday. We'll see you around. You have a good night.
Later.